Okay, hey, here's part two. On last summer, so summer 2019, we went to Africa. My grandma took us to, our grandma took us to Africa. And not all of us went, but all of us that were able to go went. Um, so it was me, my cousin, my aunt, uncle, my mom, and my brother, my grandma. So that equals seven of us. Um, Traveling in Africa, man, it was rough. But we were like, we had we had good plane travel. The plane travel was long, but we were lucky with the plane travel. But we it's like we flew down to San Francisco, and it was San Francisco to Dubai. That was our first stop because we stopped in Dubai because Africa, man, it's a long way, and we just needed a break from traveling for like 2 days. Um, like plane travel. I mean, we were traveling the whole entire time, but yeah. Um, yeah. Our longest flight was 16 hours. In the air, flying time was 16 hours, but if you actually say, well, we were actually on that plane for a good like 17 hours because, of course, a big airline. It takes a long time for people to board. So we boarded and sat there for an hour because I don't know when we boarded in the boarding group, but we didn't leave because we probably boarded on the earlier end. This big, ginormous airline. Um, but yeah, we spent like an hour on the ground. Um, then 16 hours in the air. And when you're flying out of the country again, I forgot to mention is in the Europe one, time zones. They mess with you. Um, so we were pretty jet lagged by the time we got to Dubai. Um, I was like, I cannot stay awake. We ate dinner late the first night in Dubai. No, not Dubai. This was later, but okay. Um, One night when we were actually in Africa. Okay, I'll get there. So we did our tours in Dubai. It was really, really hot. Oh, and also, did I tell you? We lost 6 bags on the way over to Dubai going there. So going to our trip to Africa, we lost our bags. That's a whole nother story. So maybe I'll post that later. And then yeah, so we arrive, and I think in Dubai it was like 8 o'clock at night when we arrived. But like 2 hours before so we slept. I think with overnight airlines, when you fly for a long period of time, they keep you on the time zone that you took off in. I don't know. So we fell asleep, woke up, they fed us breakfast, and 2 hours later we landed, and that's when it reached 8 p.m. I'm like, when did this was on Tuesday. Where did my Tuesday go? um, yeah. And then, wow. But then, we spent our time in Dubai, and then that's when we went to Africa. We first went to South Africa, so we had several planes. So Dubai to like Cape Town, South Africa, I think it was 7.5 hours. And we took off in the middle of the night. And like some people can't sleep on planes. I can sleep on planes. I slept a good 7 hours on that flight because we were adjusted to time zone by then and it was evening. I basically slept for the night. And we arrived in Africa, South Africa, like early the next morning. It was early. Or maybe I'm getting my planes mixed up, but one of my plane rides get mixed up. But I definitely slept 7.5 hours. And then we were in South Africa, Cape Town. We did some tours around there. We spent like a good 3 days or something there with 2 days of tours. It was really cool. We enjoyed that. And then from there we went to another place in South Africa, and that was where we went on our first African safari. It was called Leopard Hills. And then I posted a video before this of my little short snippets of videos from Africa, so that was fun. So we've never been on an African safari before this time. And I've also haven't been to the zoo since the African safari. African safaris are nothing like zoos. You're up close and personal with these animals with guides that are trained to take you on these African safari, and they drive big jeeps. You're in the jeep with them. Oh my goodness, they basically take you on the tour of the African safari. It was pretty fun. So we learned all these with the animals and stuff, all this safari stuff. We learned was you can't have I don't know. You can't yell. You can't when you're around wild animals that are this close, the jeeps right here, and then you're this close. I don't know. You have to be quiet. And it's very terrifying when an animal's this close to you when you're sitting in a jeep. But it was a very fun experience. We all enjoyed that. And then our next safari, that was a week. And our next safari went to Botswana. Yeah, I did 2 safaris in Botswana, Africa. And then, those were fun. I think my favorite, I couldn't figure out which one was there was all the locations had their, I don't know which one was my favorite. I like Leopard Hills, or the first one in Botswana, but I also like the other ones we went to. Was just pretty cool. So we learned a lot about animals, learned a lot about our guides, and our table conversation every single meal. Dinner time was all a big main meal, big conversation. Our big conversation throughout the whole entire trip was our lost luggage. I can explain that to you in a different video. Again, I should really do a video on that. But that's all was our main conversation topic, and it's this is crazy. We're blowing everybody's minds, and we're trying to learn all this stuff out too. How is that possible? Stuff like that. And then I learned my favorite animal. I have a couple favorite animals, but my all-time favorite animal is a warthog, because they're like pigs. I think that's some type of pig, but they're gray. And they run. They have a pig tail or something, pigs has I don't know. And they run with their tail. Their tails are like this, and then when they start running, they shoot up their tails. I think that's the cutest thing ever. So the other mates, or whatever you want to call them, the pride, their group has so their group can see them. I have to find the list, but there's all these different you call this group of animals this. You can like, I remember at the top of my head, giraffes. Like giraffes standing still. I don't know. One's called tower giraffes. One's called like no. Just, now I have to look. I'll look at that and then if I find out, I'll put this description link over here or something. Um, but they all have these different names of the groups. Um, so that was fun. We saw animals. Of course, we saw animals. We saw a lot of elephants. And in one location, I don't know what location that was, but we did see angry elephant. I mean, elephants are adorable. I love elephants. Elephants are like baby elephants. We learned the difference between a baby elephant, a teenage elephant, an adult elephant, and an old elephant. We saw them all in the group. They all huddled together as a family. And they were all trying, this big long line of elephants. And they were all crossing the road and with like bikes and stuff. Animals have right of way. Bye! Like elephants have right of way, of course. And this big male elephant was at the end, and he did not cross the road. He did not want us to like come. We were like, what do we do? He was really mad with us waiting. I mean, yes, we waited, but he did not want. I don't know what his deal was, but he was in the middle. No, he went in the middle of this path. Oh, the road, and like we couldn't go anywhere. So I mean, train guides and all that stuff. They inched up toward the elephant to try to scare him off. But the thing is, he got pushed over to the side that he originally came from, and he's like, I'm like, it was terrifying. So yeah, and then on the way home, so this is yeah, and then what else did we do? Monkeys. Oh my gosh, monkeys are adorable. I like monkeys. I hate baboons. Baboons are scary. There is a difference between monkeys are like smaller and gray, and baboons are bigger and brown. I'm gonna do part 3 of this video because I don't want to get too long.